the Stinky Popcorn Boys.
We watch movies and eat popcorn. And are stinky.
Hello, hello. We are the Stinky Popcorn Boys. Three boys talking about movies and how they made us feel. I'm Patrick Basquil, and bats frighten me. It's time my enemies share my dread.
And I'm John Gilardi. Do you kids not like falafel? I didn't know how to deliver that line. I don't remember it.
And I'm Christian Ames, and it's not who I am underneath,
Nice.
but what I do that defines me. Whoosh.
Bruce?
Where'd I go? I
was being
disappeared.
Bruce?
I disappeared. But look the other way, Rachel. Where'd I go?
She disappears.
Bruce?
He disappears in front of her.
Where'd I go?
Where did she go?
No, I'm not Bruce. I'm definitely not Bruce.
So what are we talking about?
Today, we are talking about our good friend Christopher Nolan. Hey, Chris, thanks for joining us again
Friend of
today.
the show.
He's in
Friend
the
of
corner watching us.
Yes, thank you so
In an
much for
armchair.
having me again today. Thank you very much. His first entry into his Batman trilogy, Batman Begins. And boy, does he.
He begins with a bang.
Boy, does he begin.
Yeah.
What's for those few of us?
The uninitiated.
What's the
To the uninitiated.
No, not yet.
Yeah,
not
sorry.
yet.
no
Don't
Bane.
get there.
No Bane. No Bane.
So we're doing Batman Begins.
Yep.
If you don't know what that is, it's I just said the first film of Christopher Nolan and Christian Bale. But anyway, so we're gonna do a
They
three.
just said that. They
sorry.
just said what it was.
We're doing a three episodes of this dedicated to this trilogy, and this first episode is going to be all Batman Begins.
All Batman Begins all the time.
Yeah.
The whole time we're gonna do our best to refrain. I'm gonna do my
Yeah.
best to refrain from doing Joker or Bane.
Yep, that'll be next episode, and
so-
it'll be fun. We want to try. We're still thinking of a name that kind of encapsulates doing a series of something. It could be the Stinky Popcorn Boys.
Do it.
Do it. I don't know. It's like,
It sounds like a porno.
Stinky Popcorn Boys do
just
Batman.
interview is so succinct and good, but obviously that's someone else already has that. But we want to do this, and I think this Batman series is perfect.
What about
especially
full picture? Nope, that's terrible.
Full series.
the rundown.
The rundown.
I don't know.
Nolan verse.
No, yeah.
Yeah, the Nolan verse. I like that.
Well, if we
I don't
do
think
Marvel.
that I came up with that.
The Nolan verse.
But anyways,
But so what's the synopsis of this first little old movie?
let's hear it, Christian. I think you're a resident Batman fan.
Billionaire Bruce Wayne searches for purpose and vengeance in a gritty real world and becomes Batman.
Now
The
that was
Batman.
The Batman. Oh wait, no, we're gonna save that for the end of the podcast. But yeah, this is the origin story of Batman.
Yeah, came out
in
2005.
Nolan verse Batman.
the Nolan verse Batman.
And holy fart bags, this movie aged so well.
Oh yeah,
I hadn't watched it in so long, like probably honestly like close to a decade.
which shocks me.
I watched
it's-
it when it came out, and I didn't like it as much. I thought it was fine. I was a kid. I mean, it was 2005, so I was like
You were like
13, 14. Yeah.
yeah.
I was like, I want to see Batman in the costume, and
Yeah.
he's training too long. And my memory of this film is him training the whole time. So
Yeah.
I was like, this is so dumb. I don't want to see him train for 2 hours. But it's such a minor part of the movie, and he is Batman for a good chunk of it.
For a long time. This
Yeah.
movie,
I remembered it completely differently.
there's
No,
so much
I-
movie in this movie.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm right there with you, John. I remember when I first watched this, I was 15, and I was like, there's not enough Batman, because we were used to, like, Michael Keaton's Batman and Val Kilmer's Batman and the late George Clooney's Batman. He's not actually dead. It's just, it was Batman and Robin. But there wasn't, for me at the time, there wasn't enough Batman.
Yeah.
There wasn't enough Batman. It's just like, what's this movie? It's an actual piece of cinema, and he doesn't become Batman till like halfway through.
I don't think it was until seeing The Dark Knight that I went back and watched this movie and was like, oh, that was pretty fun. Because I remember being a 7-year-old whenever Batman and Robin came out and being like, yeah, he's got a different suit for every kind of weather there is.
With nipples.
Oh my gosh, and he's got fake rubber lips how do those work? Oh my god, so cool. And being like, oh yeah, this is awesome. And then cut to 5 or 7 years later, seeing this movie and being like, yeah, okay, it's good,
Yeah.
fine. I'm excited to see what happens next. I guess. Who's Christian Bale? Again, I'm 13 in this, or 14. It's like, who's Christian Bale? Who's Gary Oldman? I don't give a about any of this.
I mean, this movie ages so well. This is my second time I've ever seen it, as I said earlier, and I loved it. I think it's, in terms of my memory of the other two, so far my favorite one out of the three. And without talking about the other ones, I think it's either 1 or 2 in the trilogy for me. Getting way ahead of myself, but it's that good. It surprised me. I mean, you're right. It's a movie first. It's cinema, which is Christopher Nolan. I mean, he's there. He just gave me a head nod.
Thank you very much.
He's in the room.
So
with us.
appreciative of you, but again, I made this movie for myself.
Oh, thank you, Christopher. Christopher, thank you again for joining us on the podcast.
Of course, and thank you for the lemonade.
Of course.
Yes,
So I guess
of course.
good.
A lot of sugar in this one.
So we kind of talked about our impressions at the time of watching and our memory, and then how it hit us now. I don't know. What about the film now? I guess here we stand 15 years later, and superhero movies are everywhere, and they've hit every kind of tone and pace and origin story and everything. So with that new 15 years of superhero knowledge, I don't know.
This is a movie that, if it's like one of those monkey's paw thing where it's like, oh yeah, this is great. Same thing with like the follow-up movie, which I won't mention again. But it's like, without that movie, we don't get Batman vs. Superman and the Justice League, where it's like, ugh. But anyway.
It did set the tone for DC for probably the worst, honestly.
Probably for the worst, because no one, again, and this, I'll double back, where it's like, Nolan set the tone immediately. We're talking about it being a movie. Mm-hmm. That sound that he brings, and again, Hans Zimmer killing it, but that tick, that urge, finding those beautiful shots and making the world so cohesive and real. And yeah, that's real. Just like, there's some ridiculousness just in the universe as it is, but having it be so contained and feel so tangible.
Yes. Dude, he balances the comic world of Batman and realism. This is what I like to think. And Christopher, who's in the room with us, I want to get into your head a little bit before you speak up. But I would like to assume, Christopher, that you hate comic books, you hate Batman, you think it's stupid, and you decided, you know what? I'm going to challenge myself to make a Batman movie that's good. He was like, you know what? I'm going to take Batman and I'm going to make it real and cool, because I can do that, because I'm Christopher Nolan.
Well, for you, Christian, that may be the case. And I'll let you wander on that and sit and think, and perhaps some of what you say is correct, but perhaps I love Batman and I wanted to see it fulfilled in my vision.
I believe you, Chris.
But also, your feelings are also valid.
Yeah. I would like to think that you wanted to take something and make it your own, which you did.
As I always do. Everything is
you
for me.
Yes, it is.
I just allow you to watch it.
Where Christopher Nolan is sitting with his own movies on loop, as always.
I'm going to get some limoncello and put in my lemonade on the back in a little bit.
All right, let's start. So the introduction of Christian Bale's Batman, of Bruce Wayne rather, and his parents, kind of the introduction of them. I don't know. Let's start at the beginning. Let's talk about the things we liked, didn't like about that, things that were cool interpretations. Also, I do want to put the disclaimer: there are hardcore DC fans, and I wouldn't say we're any of those. We don't know the extended thing. We don't read all the books. I don't think any. I'm the only one that's read Hush, and that's because it was recommended to me. Like all these things. But we like cinema, film, movies, whatever you want to call it.
I like Batman.
And we like Batman, We're kids that grew up, but I know that there's a lot of you out there that are probably like, hardcore DC fans, which is cool. Just know that we're aren't not that, so we will miss things. We have missed things. We don't know the deep history, whatever. I guess we're some normies that like it, whatever. But
I think we're mainly talking about the movie, what it comes down to.
Yeah, but
it's a standalone piece. Any piece of art should be a standalone piece of art.
I just know DC people have their
Yeah.
opinions.
Yeah.
But out there, that we're just dudes.
Bring him to us.
So I guess right off the bat, I really like the introduction of his dad as a just a good dude. What's the
Philanthropist?
Yeah, philanthropist.
I was gonna say a philosophicer.
philosophical?
Yeah.
But he's so well introduced as a good influence of good, and it comes around in the end how he was actually maybe a pawn or at least collaborator with Ra's al Ghul, which is really cool. Kind of a cool twist in a way. But my favorite thing is not at the beginning is not so much the introduction of Bruce Wayne's dad, but the introduction of Gotham. And I think that's my favorite thing about this film is that it treats Gotham as a character, which I think is super important for these films because it's a stylized kind of gothic area. And I don't know if that trend continued in the next two films from my memory.
Yeah, dude.
But I loved it in this film, and it was so well done. And I think that's, to me, one of the distinguishing factors is that Gotham felt like a character. And that's also one of my favorite things about Spider-Man is that New York City is a character. But with I love Tom Holland movies, but they New York City is not a character in those. So that's just like, it feels
so
missing.
big in those movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, Gotham City was much more going back to like the comic booky, the balance of like comic book look, the campiness, which this movie is not campy at all, which is why it's so good as opposed to previous Batman movies. But Gotham, this was the most comic booky looking Gotham, I think, out of the trilogy, out of the Nolan trilogy,
Especially the Narrows.
Because like in Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, it's a lot more. It looks like Chicago or New York City or something.
Chicago
But
or
in this one,
Pittsburgh.
it definitely like the archways over the train and everything. It definitely had a more like kind of personality.
I think we need. I mean, I think that's the fun of it is that we need to be reminded that it's a fun. Not fun. I mean, Gotham isn't fun, but like it's a cool. Not. I don't know what the right word is. I'm trying to fish for it.
It's a fantastic.
Yeah.
You know.
It's like Gomorrah or like Sodom. It's like it's kind of like an old fictional city where it's like this is where the worst of the worst go, which is one of the reasons why it's like that's why Batman is built off of it, but that's because it is where the worst of worst, and it's also where the best of the best go to try and like rise above it. And I think it's an interesting thing in this the Nolan verse, if you will, like that the evil at the bottom on the ground level goes hand in hand with the evil at the top, where the people at the top gain from the people at the bottom, like from making the evil at the bottom worse.
That is so poetic, and I'm gonna steal that because I started writing a Batman rap today, and I'm gonna steal that.
Take
that
it.
is
It's
that
yours.
is beautiful. That is beautiful. I won't actually
Couldn't
steal
have
it,
said
but
it better
dude, that
myself.
is
Thank
really
you.
beautiful. Speaking of which, at the end of the podcast, we are quickly going to talk about the new Batman trailer that just came out.
Yeah, tease it out.
so you
Tease it
wanna-
out. Get those,
yeah.
retain those
anyways,
listeners.
No,
Here we go.
reel me back in. Okay,
Well, I think it's a character because Gotham is personified even in the other films, and I think it feels fitting here. It feels earned. It feels you see it. It's represented, and I think that adds a whole new layer to the film, to the movie, whatever you want to call it. I always feel like a dickbag when I say film.
the
picture.
movie, the
Film,
cinema.
the picture, the cinema.
It's a great picture. But it adds another layer to it that you don't have. I think that it falls short, and again, I keep bringing up the next ones. It's hard not to.
Well,
But like,
Dude, I
'cause
thought
they're so
I was going to be the
cohesive.
one
'Cause
doing
they're so-
Joker voices.
but they're so cohesive.
yeah,
like,
and they
that's
still
one of the-
fit.
That's one of the things that I am baffled by as a person who tries to do, narrative things, or it just the level of scale and the level of detail that our friend Christopher Nolan is able to bring and carry throughout this whole movie. Everything for it being somewhat fantastical in a real world, like the Tumbler, with the Batmobile and all that stuff. It feels, if not like real or makes sense, it feels like it fits.
Yes. And he seasons it with like the one-liners.
He's got
like the
so
little,
many one-liners in this movie.
but it's perfect.
They're all so
like
good.
there's like one of my favorite lines in the movie is when Batman is like, or when Bruce, is talking to Fox about the Tumbler, and he's like, Does it come in black?
Does it come in black?
Just like
There's so many.
so many good quotes.
If we're
that,
talking
like,
good one-liners, I love the beginning when he's in the, I guess, North Korean prison. I don't know where he is, but he's like,
It's like, can they kill me before breakfast?
yeah, well, no, that's good too. But where he's like, fuck, what I have it written down, but it's something. It's like your practice. What does he say? You're not the devil.
Yeah.
Your practice.
I didn't realize how much of this movie I knew. And
Yeah.
again, this was a movie that came on FX a whole bunch, so I watched it like over and over because I would catch little bits of it, and it's like it was one of those movies that's like, it's on, I'll watch 30 minutes of it, 45 minutes on it, but you know what? I'll probably walk away because it'll come back later again, or I'll DVR it because that was what we did back then. And it was just like, I didn't realize how much of this movie I knew. Like, I would be like saying the lines with him. I'd be like, oh, yeah.
Another thing that I just thought of that may be the reason why this movie didn't stand out as much as Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, there's no defined bad guy character voice. At least for me. Talking about Joker
Okay.
and Bane, they both have very iconic voices, whereas you've got Liam Neeson. Ra's al Ghul is one of the coolest, most badass Batman villains of all time.
I think that's where the DC fandom would disagree with you, because I guess he was misrepresented.
Yeah.
in this movie.
Yeah, so I knew that was coming because I do agree. I really like the character.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, and I looked up after watching this movie, not the first time because I was
I think,
like,
isn't
15.
it Ra's al Ghul?
That is how I think he's technically pronounced. But Christopher Nolan, he can do whatever he wants. So
Listen, I ain't mad.
but
I'm just, I think
it is in the Arkham video games. It is pronounced Ra's al Ghul.
I think they also, I read or saw an interview where they were like, David Goyer was like, yeah, we thought about putting the Lazarus Pit in here. Because that's like, again, that's one of the things that's like taking something fantastical and then bringing it over to the real world. Like that Ra's al Ghul or Ra's al Ghul would be able to live forever because it's like an identity.
He gets into this hot tub that makes him
that's in the comics. He gets in the Lazarus Pit and he is the same person, but it's rather like a mantle that someone passes on again and again. So I am actually of the mind that he did kill Ra's al Ghul in the original temple, and that Liam Neeson just took his mantle up rather than him being the person the whole time.
Dude, I never even thought of that. That will tie back in when we talk about Dark Knight Rises. Holy shit, I never once considered that. Never once considered that.
I just thought he was
that
always him.
completely changes
But he's
the
like
entire
Ducard at the
trilogy.
beginning, right?
Yeah. Well, that's why I thought that it's like, it's just an idea that when the original Ra's al Ghul is dead, that Ducard is the person who takes up the mantle of Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
And he just continues it on. They all just happen to wear Fu
a
Manchu.
mask. Everyone's wearing a mask.
Everyone wears a mask. And that's what I had an idea. I was like, why did they put the scowl? Why does he put the scowl on his cowl? Whenever
scowl on his cowl.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
that's.
It's like,
no,
why do you put the scowl? Like he puts a scowl on
There's
it.
a scowl on the cowl. I never even thought about
But
that.
it's-
Like,
but it is,
Do
it's
you
a
have
mask.
to put it's like painting angry eyebrows?
Who
on
did
your-
they model that off of? Does that mean that he has to fit into it to fit it on his face the whole time?
That's how Batman puts his mask on.
He's
He
got
has
a
to
scowl and slip it on.
scowl on the cowl. Oh,
I got a scowl on my cowl and I'm looking like an owl.
and I'm sweating because I'm
That's some
fighting and I need a
Lin-Manuel
towel.
delivery.
Oh my god, dude! But for real, that just blew my mind.
actually-
that was the real Ra's al Ghul in the temple in the beginning, and
it's just an
Henry
idea.
Ducard just took up.
And that also, because again, that's why this trilogy is so good. Here I Am, Homer is like the themes that he sets up in this first movie, he follows through on. This first movie is fear, and he's like, blah, blah, blah. Ra's al Ghul is an idea, and if it's a mantle that gets passed on, and then we get to the Dark Knight Rises, and then Batman is just an idea. He never dies.
Ah.
Dude, that is profound. That is so profound.
I also wondered if Bane was like in that room, or if he had
if
already
he
been
was
kicked
just
out.
like-
Like if he was like when Bruce first showed up, like if Bane was like chilling in the room, being like, "Why does this dude get all this special? Where does he get all this special idea?
Why does this dude get all the attention? I'm over here.
I'm a pretty good guy."
Wow.
But it does, not to talk too much, but it feels starting this movie, it feels better, like having Bruce Wayne be lost and discovering his way.
Yeah, it's a good angle in the origin story.
Yeah.
Instead of like having a mission that he's setting out to, he's kind of like he's just going out, figuring out as he goes. He's learning a lot through failure. I mean, one of the first things we see him do as an adult is fail, essentially, with the hit he was trying to do in that moment of realizing his vulnerability or his weakness in terms of his propensity to vengeance. And I think it's a great way to develop the character because he's a rich playboy. So like, how are we? I don't know how are we going to sympathize for him? We see his parents die, but what else? Like, he's flawed. He's learning. He's humble. He doesn't take bullshit. He calls out the fakers, even though it's just a ploy to get people out of the house. But he's a very likable, rich playboy dude, which isn't impossible by any means.
Yeah.
Also, the backboards of his bed look like boobs.
They do look like boobs. That's a great point. We're watching some footage in the background. I noticed that when I was watching it, and it's so hot. I also love the scene where he drops to the floor
It's
and
this
starts
scene
doing push-ups.
right there. That's my favorite.
So dope.
He goes,
Bats
are nocturnal.
I did that when I did that drunk I did drunk like a month ago or two at my sister's wedding.
That was my goal.
Did you actually do it? Did
Yeah,
you land
my brother and my now brother-in-law did it, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking do it. And I did it.
The Batman drop to the floor
Yeah.
push-up thing?
Well done. I couldn't do that.
I do want to redirect the conversation a little bit to Cillian Murphy's Scarecrow, who is I'm the as everybody knows me on the podcast, resident straight man,
The only one here who's definitely a
resident
straight white dude.
heterosexual.
He always
I
says it
think
preceding complimenting dudes and their dicks.
Cillian Murphy has such beautiful eyes,
He
and
does.
he's such a perfect, insane Scarecrow. I love his Scarecrow so much. That scene where he's who's the mob boss? Falcone. Where he just what does he say when he drops when he's like, I don't remember.
We'll do
what
the
he
whole
says.
thing. Oh, I can't take it anymore. I can't take it. The voices are calling me. And he's just like, what do you want?
Oh, dude, it's
so
so
good.
good. And when he puts on the mask and the effects of the mask, like when the toxin gets into your system,
What does
are
it say?
They're so good,
subtle.
especially when he's looking at Batman. He looks like an Urkai almost with the ink,
Yeah,
the black
dude.
shift
Oh
leaking
my
out.
gosh,
And in the
that-
Narrows, when Katie Holmes, who's fucking 10 out of 10 bombshell in this, in terms of she's gorgeous. I got distracted thinking about her.
Whoa.
No, but when
Here's the
she's
train. Get back on the track.
when she's running around the Narrows with Joffrey Baratheon, which that's who that was. If you didn't notice that.
Oh, yeah.
I did notice that. Yeah, little baby Joffrey.
Yeah, the Scarecrow and the horse, terrifying, and the horse breathing fire was fucking badass. But then
yeah.
it was perfectly contrasted with him getting knocked off the horse.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's just like
Yeah.
a stupid sound effect and him
So good.
going away.
I also love that scene where Scarecrow, when Batman infiltrates the building, and Cillian Murphy, what's Scarecrow's name? Dr. Crane.
Dr.
He's
Crane.
he's
Dr. Jonathan
the
Crane.
Batman is here. He's coming to get us, and he's looking around so excited. It's like he gets off on
Yeah.
fear,
Yeah.
which I think in the comics and in the DC universe, Scarecrow is so unafraid of everything that he literally gets off to fear. Which also, remember when Batman gives in his own toxin, and what does he say? He's like, Dr. Crane is not here right now if you'd like to leave a message. And he's just staring at Batman with this weird empty look. He's just like, Dr. Crane is not here right now. But he's almost invigorated by it.
He's lost in the sauce, baby.
Yeah,
He's like,
dude.
oh, man, I love this adrenaline boost. Give it to me every day.
Yeah.
Well, I think bringing up him just is how good he is, and the character and the actor is just something you could say about anyone in this film. Obviously, with Alfred and
Michael Caine.
Lucius Fox, they're amazing characters. They're such good supporters of him. They both know. Obviously, Alfred knows what's going on just because he knows.
I feel like Lucius knows the whole time.
But then
too.
Lucius, the way he's like, I'm not an idiot,
Yeah.
but I'm about this. This is cool shit. You can use my tech.
I also wonder what questions he asked whenever he first showed up. We have our first introduction to Lucius Fox, and he's just like, hey, here's all the things that you would need to exactly be Batman.
Yeah.
Here's all the things. I wonder, what did Bruce Wayne say? Be like, hey, if I were to possibly be a vigilante and jump from building to building and dress myself up like I don't know, something like a flying squirrel.
You sound like Keanu Reeves right now.
I'm Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves is
Bale.
Batman.
One part I did like a lot that kind of went before that is when he was trying to run away from Commissioner Gordon when he first sees him. And he runs and it's like epic, or you think it's like going to be badass, and he just hits the thing. It's like, oh, and he falls down.
Well, wasn't that when? Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
When he goes into his office and he jumps off and just.
And it's like so close to being really cool. And he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is exactly right. This is exactly right. And then he jumps and it's like, wait a second.
Which it brings us to Christopher Nolan's sense of humor, which is there, but it's like, I still want it to be serious, you know.
So,
I mean, it's grounded.
The
It has a
ramifications,
reason.
the
Yeah.
ramifications are real.
Yeah.
But it is funny because he's like, boom, 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 boom. It's the closest we get to like the
Slapstick.
slapstick. In it.
Yeah.
What was that sound effect that they use in Looney Tunes?
Bringing that back.
Oh man.
And I think too, just to close, I feel like to close up the origin story, I think us as viewers, I mean, we don't have to close it up. We can continue, but it's like us as viewers having seen the origin story so many times and knowing it, I feel like Batman and Spider-Man's origin stories are like the most done. We got it.
And Superman.
And Superman, but I don't know. Superman's boring to me. We can get into that later.
I agree with you. I totally agree.
But I think that
He would beat Goku in a fight, though. Just triggering people out there. Keep going.
Yeah, for sure. Goku's a little weak sauce baby man.
Oh, someone's mad.
That's not true. I don't believe that. But I think us as the viewers, we benefit from knowing the origin story. So when he shows his son, he's like, "Hey, look at these fucking pearl necklace," and we're like, "Oh shit!"
Yep.
And they're like, "Oh, the little Brucey's dressed up is on the train." We're like, "Oh shit!" And then it's like, "Hey, look, we're watching an opera. It's Don Giovanni, and there's bats and stuff." And it's like, "Oh shit!" And he's like, "Oh, I'm scared. Let's get out." And why don't they go out the front? You know, after
Yeah, what's that? I mean,
what?
is that just a little passive flex? Like, yeah, I'm rich as hell. I can go out the back door if I want.
But why?
Yeah.
But why would you go out? Like, you're
There's
rich as
literally
fuck.
no
Just go
reason.
out the front.
Yeah.
Just go out the front and be like, "Hey guys, I think my kid. I think this is stupid, and I'm leaving. Come join me at McCrady's pub. I'm buying shots. Let's
Yeah.
go. Even with my kid here. Let's go, bro. I'm Thomas Wayne.
Thomas Wayne.
Rich as fuck. I ain't ever gonna get shot. I'm Thomas Wayne. Someone stop me.
Can you imagine what
Give me your wallet.
Jeff Bezos could do if he wasn't selfish piece of shit? If I was as rich as him, I would totally be Thomas Wayne. That'd be so cool.
Oh yeah.
Like, he could single-handedly, if he picked one city, bring up the economy in that city. He could do. I mean, he could make countries if he wanted to.
He could literally probably outfit a city to be like Jeff Bezos City.
Yeah.
And bring up the life, like, and like the life quality of life for the people that
Yeah.
live there and come work for him. And that would just take $30 billion.
What does he do with his disposable income?
Nothing.
You guys
He
are
gets
bringing
divorced.
You're
is
bringing up
real.
a great point. What do people of Gotham think Bruce Wayne does? What do people of Gotham think of Bruce
Well,
Wayne?
I think that's part of.
Oh, he's just a selfish billionaire playboy.
Oh,
he
shit.
doesn't
Are
do
we saying
anything. He
Bezos
hates
is a
everyone.
superhero?
Bezos is definitely the Batman.
Okay.
Or, not the Batman, but he might be a superhero. He might be protecting
and
us from aliens.
Elon
that
Musk
we
is
don't
the
even...
bad guy. He's
Yeah.
the villain. He's the
Dude,
Lex
what if
Luthor.
Elon
Holy
Musk-
shit.
oh,
That's why they're both
Jesus
trying to go to
Christ.
space.
Well, dude,
I feel like
There's some
I-
like crazy shadow things happening in the shadow between these rich dudes.
That's what the thing. That's what. All right.
And Trump is
I was
this
gonna
is a Marvel bad guy, but he's the
pawn.
he's he's the bad guy in Daredevil and Spider-Verse.
Kingpin.
Yeah.
Oh no! Don't give him that much credit.
Yeah,
That dude.
at least Kingpin can fuck people
No,
up.
I feel like
I mean,
he's
Trump's a New York City dude.
he's like Carmine
there's-
Falcone, where he thinks he's in charge of stuff, but he
there's
like
Joffrey.
gets like the second he gets introduced to anything real, he gets freaking squashed like a
Oh
little bug.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's a fun thing to say. But I wouldn't. I feel bad giving him that much credit. Jeffrey
Yeah.
Bezos. There's no way.
Or Elon Musk even.
Elon Musk is more of a
He's more of a
superhero.
Yeah.
He's because he's Iron Man's based off of him, so we have that kind of reference in popular media. But I don't know.
Elon's a little bonkers, but he genuinely I personally think that, and this is biased because we've made a music video dedicated to
Give it
Elon
up
Musk.
for Elon Musk.
Yeah. But I do think Elon genuinely cares about the longevity of the human race, which is why he's trying to get us into space. He's cares about sustainable energy. Like,
Yeah.
Bezos, maybe under the mask, he's a superhero, but
I don't think
we
so.
Don't know that.
I don't think that
I'd
he
like
is.
to think he is, but he's
I don't think
probably
so.
not.
I don't think that you amass $130 billion without like just being like, no, I'll keep this. This is mine. This is mine.
That's the vibe I get.
You
And
never-
like maybe we don't know, but and he doesn't need to flex. Like maybe he doesn't flex because he's not a cock or something. But I don't think it's that. I don't think he's a humble dude.
Well, even like
I think he's just like, no, it's my money.
like even the genuine
Yeah.
the genuine excitement and intelligence that I feel, even though Elon Musk has some like he's a wild and wacky crazy dude. I don't know if it's like
he's busting out some edgelord stuff these days.
but he's also like you see it like what was his spaceship Raptor Falcon. When it went up to space and he's like genuinely excited that it just got up there. He's like, yeah. Whereas I feel like Jeff Bezos is like Blue Origin. It's like, I better get to space because I want to be the coolest, the best person in space, and I just want to be up there first, and I want to be good.
Well, he wants to be ready and be in a market to exploit it.
Yeah.
And make more money.
But Bruce Wayne
Is my interpretation.
No,
yeah,
that's good. I appreciate
where
that.
are we going? Let's get back
We're
to
talking
Batman.
about his wealth.
Superheroes.
We're talking about as well. We're talking about superhero.
I think that's. I mean,
okay.
I know it seems out of left field, but that is something the movie has focused on. Is
Yeah.
the economics of a rich philanthropist, or just what his role is in a city, in
Yeah.
a city in a movie where the city.
And
is
then
a
and then again,
character.
kind of tying back, it's like the evil at the top feeds into the evil at the
Yeah.
bottom, and like the people at the top continuing to grab stuff.
Yep.
Makes there be less for the people at the bottom, which makes them easier to be bought by the evil people or manipulated by someone that is like an anarchist and like has these wild and crazy plans. They're easy to be manipulated by that person later in the next movie.
Save it for Dark Knight.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm talking about just the Batman Begins. I'm just talking about the socioeconomic status of Gotham.
We just saw a clip on the footage we're watching. I want to applaud Michael Caine for his Alfred.
Caine?
He is, give us some Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
Why do we fall?
Master Bruce? So we can pick ourselves back up.
so good.
You haven't given up on me yet, Alfred.
Never.
Dude, it's so wholesome.
I'm sorry.
The scene.
I failed you, sir.
Dude, when
I failed you.
Oh, dude, I cried when I watched Dark
I'm
Knight
glad you
Rises.
cried right now.
Oh my god,
We're not talking about it. No.
We're not talking. Save it for next or two podcasts from now. So when Alfred picks up Batman after he first gets dosed with Scarecrow's poison, he's like,
he's
I
so
can't
worried.
lose this kid.
He's so
like
fucking
I
worried.
raised this kid. And the scene or the cut from Batman scared to his child self scared.
Yeah.
And Alfred is like in tears. Oh my god. Not to mention quick shout out to Arkham
don't do that.
Origins.
I don't. It might
God.
send sound through the.
Oh my
through the
god.
wire.
I'm just like
Patrick's kicking his XLR, so if you hear hopefully it doesn't come through.
It
should
be
good.
Of course it'll come through.
But in I think it was Arkham Knight.
You're talking video
Batman-
game.
Yeah, video
Okay.
game. Arkham Knight.
Bouncing all
So
over
there's
the
a
place. I love
moment Batman throughout all the Arkham games sounds very like just stoic and I'm Batman. But there's a moment where Alfred is getting attacked and he's about to be killed by Bane, and the actor screams in agony like Alfred, and I'll never forget that moment because the voice acting is so good, and it reminded me of the moment when Batman just calls for Alfred when he gets hit by the Scarecrow toxin, and he's like, Alfred! He's just screaming. He's reverted to a scared
Poison!
help! Oh, it's just like like going back to the theme of fear in this movie. That's all it is.
Well, and that's like again, I got to tip my hat to you, Chris. Thank you so much, because it's good storytelling. Because essentially, we go through the beginning, and I kind of understand where some people online are like, "Oh, it's hacky, over the top. We kind of get the same thing, but it's only that because you already know it." but it's like each character introduces another idea of Bruce Wayne, of like Bruce Wayne's idea. Mm-hmm. Again and again, part of his ethos, part of what he does. Like even Carmine Falcone after Rachel drops him off, he's like, the power of fear. You know, I could shoot you right here because of the power of fear. And that just like hits and reinforces everything. Everything was leading to him becoming Batman.
Yeah. I forgot about that. That was also a great Carmine Falcone.
I do.
Power of fear. I could shoot you right here in this restaurant, kid.
He's a little bit more gangster. He's a little bit.
Yeah, he's like,
not. He's not. You're a little bit up here, but he's a little bit more like, hey, I could shoot you right here.
Shoot you right here. That's the power of fear. And he's got like the cops looking on, and
there's a judge here.
They don't even care.
They're like, it doesn't matter.
There's something about the Christopher Nolan movies. He likes the high-end German guns. This is a different tangent, but like
I was going to actually ask you. I have this like, what gun is that?
Yeah, so there's a lot of guns. He brings the G30. It's a lot of H&K, which is this German gun maker. They make the MP5. So there's an MP5K in this, but this is completely off the wall, but it's like, I guess, movie trivia. But it's an SP89, which is the civilian version, and they outfit it to make it look like the real version, which they do in Die Hard as well. So they cut the barrels, and you can tell it's not the Navy barrel, and then the magazine flapper's missing. That's the big tell. So it's these armorers, they just get the civilian guns and make them look like the real guns. And that's what's going on in here. When the guy's like, come out and fight me, when he's shooting the gun.
Yeah.
That's a civilian MP5K.
Wait, so
where are you?
What's the purpose of them doing that?
It's just easier to get and cheaper, I guess. I mean, it's still expensive. I really don't know why.
But then it looks sleeker if you make it look how it looks, or it looks more menacing, probably.
I mean, it's super minor. Like, only gun nuts like myself will notice it. But it's more interesting.
I noticed that it was still smoking.
Yeah. Which is, I guess, good with the blanks.
I mean, as long as it looks more menacing and it looks scarier, that's all that matters.
That works for me.
Hey, some cool gun trivia.
It translates on the screen 100% fine. It's more from looking at the process, just like, I wonder why the armorers.
Yeah.
I guess it's just, well, they were like $700 a pop back in the 80s, but I don't know.
Well, let's talk about that Batman intro. Like that first
shot of him?
Either the first shot, but like that first whole sequence of
at the
crates.
Is that his first sequence with the guy that's shooting the gun off?
Yeah. That's his like first sequence where it's so great. He's got these pools of light with like darkness and shadow like creeping in, and you feel it, and you feel claustrophobic, and you know he's got the horror movie.
Dude, the soundtrack, we got to talk about soundtrack
my God,
next. But yes, that scene, that intro of like the guys are just walking around, and there's such cliche bad guys with their guns just like, hey, there's so whoa,
where are you?
It's just stuntmen. You've probably seen that man get killed a million times in other things.
An amazing scene. And doesn't he says in this movie, I'm Batman.
He does. Well, his line, he goes, the guy's like, the guy who's shooting around is like, where are you? And he's like, here.
Yeah. And that's the first time you see him, and it's like, it's just his face, or
upside down doing that Spider-Man.
And it's so good. Yeah. Normally a reveal is like a full body reveal or a silhouette or you see it suddenly or gradually, but this was just like face. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. And they really build with the chaos of it too, like with him beating up all those guys. They beat up all those guys, and it's cool too because you see the Carmine Falcone character who's like, oh, I've been cool, I've been calm, I'm a great guy, I'm so cool, I'm a bad guy. And he's like, what the he's like, you see him start to get scared. You see him start to get scared. You see stuff start to happen. And then he gets pulled through the roof, and he's like, I'm Batman.
Yeah. Also, the voice. What do you guys think of the voice? I know a lot of people like to clown on the voice.
I don't mind it.
It's definitely got its moments where it's like,
well, I think the girl Rachel, when she asks him, "Who are you?" and he says his line that she said to him earlier. Like, to me, if I saw a guy said that to me dressed as a bat, I'd be like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
There's I just want to like, I think that the voice makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
I don't
do
have an
too.
issue with it. And it
think
works in its world, but
It's also from
if-
one of the best actors of all time, Christian Bale. Like it.
I also can't believe that they didn't think to do the voice modulation thing that they did in the
With Ben
which is
Affleck's
like
Batman.
I'm like, all right, that's actually pretty good.
Well, it makes
Oh,
so
yeah.
much more sense because you have a gadget guy. You know, he's a gear dude.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he have
I
that?
can't believe that they didn't think of that. Like
Yeah.
with all the gadgets and stuff, with the explosive gel that they did in the next movie, and like all the little gadgets and things. I can't believe that they didn't think, especially because it would make so much more sense. Because unless you are a trained actor who's like, all right, now I'm Batman. But I guess I don't know. Psychologically, having that shift where you're like, oh, I am this character or I am this person now, and then.
Like the
Sorry,
psychological
the psychological
shift.
shift.
Like when Bruce puts on the cowl, he's like,
Yeah.
I'm no longer Batman. Or
Well,
I'm no longer Bruce Wayne. Who's Bruce Wayne?
Where's Harvey Dent?
You broke.
Swear to me!
I think one of the things I really liked about this
When
movie.
he's yelling, it sounds so good. When he's screaming and he's just full vicious, he's in full predator mode. But I think the worst moments, which I don't hate his Batman voice, but the funniest moments are when he's just talking like, well, I'm not wearing hockey pads. But when he's screaming,
What's that from?
and
I
he's
haven't
like,
seen that movie. I don't know what you're talking
Oh,
about.
it's a sequel. It's coming in the year 3023. We'll
Okay,
see
cool.
eventually. But there's definitely moments.
I think it's funny whenever you can tell that he gets stuffed up because he's doing it, and it goes a little bit nasally.
I think I guess in terms of let's parlay this into gadgets. I really like the bat emitter that it ties the bats into as it weaponizes them, which feels super comic booky to me.
Wait, the what?
The
little-
bat emitter, the beep, he drops. It's like a red thing in his boot.
It like attract. It's like Sonic or
Oh,
Sonar or whatever. I don't know.
to get the bats to come and
Which I love. I love him weaponizing bats. I like how much it doubles into the bat thing.
And it also, going back to like how this movie is a little bit more comic booky than the other three or the other two of the
It definitely pulls from
Nolanverse.
Tim Burton, especially in like the design of the city and stuff. But the gadgets, I think it was again. That's like that first time that he's walking through with Lucius Fox, and he's just like, "Here's all the things you need to be Batman."
It's like Q with James Bond.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, oh, look at this. And he's just like, doesn't even do it James Bundy.
Make a
James Bundy.
James
Make a-
Bond, he makes bunt cakes.
make a bakery name.
But doesn't he even have like a moment where he picks up the like the gauntlet and it shoots the and he's like, oh, it's such a James Bond moment. I love that. But yeah, what are your guys' favorite gadgets? If you could get one gadget,
I mean the Batmobile, which I wasn't gonna bring up. What you guys
no, you
thoughts
can't
on?
choose that one.
Well, so I remember watching like daytime television and because my mom had it on or whatever, my kid around the house.
You loved
And,
it, dude.
I mean, it was always interesting. It was a good way to stay up
Fox
to date
News.
as a child. Yeah, no, but like all the morning show and the radio and the TV specials, on prime time, were all like the Batmobile was such a point of contention because it didn't look all cartoony and Tim Burton-y,
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I
People were-
specifically
I don't remember that, but also I didn't
I mean,
watch.
maybe
I
I watched
believe
the
it
one
now,
special,
'cause
but like
it-
things stick with you as a kid. So maybe
Yeah.
maybe it was one special that really just like, what the fuck is going on here? But I think that's perfect. I think you need to make your own, need to leave your own mark on it. And I mean, that is what Tim Burton did essentially.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, that was their first exposure to Batman. So that's what they think Batman is. And that was carried on throughout, whoever the most recent one was before Christian Bale. Was it the George Clooney one?
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah,
George
that was.
Clooney, then Christian Bale.
That carried all the way to those, where then this reimagined it, which was great. Anyways, the Batmobile is fucking dope. It's cool. It makes sense in a world that's like real, where there is a weapons research and development dude who made a thing for the military, and his boss. It's like, hey, I like that. I'm gonna use it for my stuff. Like, I buy it, and it's fucking cool. It's believable. Like, it's it's a prop. They're driving it.
Yeah.
Which
it's
cool.
practical. And
yeah.
it's like that's the thing I think that hits that the Christopher Nolan Batman hits better is like all the gadgets are like practical and make sense.
Yeah.
and also kind of exist or are modified versions of things that do sort of exist.
I love the moment when the guy walks up, when Commissioner Gordon is in the Batmobile, and he's like, nice ride.
Nice
Just like
ride.
another one of those little funny quotes.
Oh my God, I love that's a nice coat. I love that coat.
yeah.
That's a nice coat. Yeah. Oh, he just feels
And then when Batman at the
Nice coat.
nice, yeah. Oh, so
Thanks.
good, so good.
I love those kind of teases when in any superhero movie with a secret identity that they tease who they are to someone who was there at the beginning or
Yeah.
some kind of good person. Like even if like that homeless man has no idea, like the little puzzle or like you can the little puzzlement or his face. I don't know. It's
like,
fun to play with
"Wait,
as the viewer.
I
And like,
think I know
Yeah.
that guy. Dude, going back
But
to
no
my-
one would ever believe that homeless man.
well, it's like it's in the same realm of like secret identities and people knowing them and the respect and trust they have. Kind of that like satisfaction that fan pleasing kind of decision making is right up there with villains turning good guys.
Yeah.
It's just like it feels good.
Yeah. Which, speaking of villains turning good guys, Ra's al Ghul, like everybody loves. I was texting John about this last night. Everybody loves thinking Thanos is the first good dude. Like Thanos is actually not that bad. Like he actually cares about like the universe and he's trying to do good. No, Christopher Nolan, friend of the show, sitting in the corner in his armchair with his pipe, smoking expensive tobacco, was the first one to do that with the entire Nolan-verse trilogy of Batman. And Ra's al Ghul was the first one to do that. He ultimately, what the League of Shadows, they want
Yeah.
to bring balance to the world.
Yeah, I mean there was like we think today we're in this world of gray villains, gray area villains. And, we had that back in 2005. Essentially, it's one of the, I would argue, the first superhero movie in this whole big renaissance.
It's kind of like a reverse Anakin. That Bruce Wayne pulls, where it's like they're like, hey, listen, do all this stuff, do good in the world. We're trying to do all the things that you want to do, and then, they're like, by the way, you have to do murders. You have to become the evil in order to defeat the evil. Whereas like Bruce is just trying to like understand. He's trying to understand the gray so he can get in their head, like do some real Sun Tzu shit. And they're like, hey, no, manipulate and destroy. That's the way we do it. Manipulate and destroy. We don't try and manipulate and change. Manipulate, destroy. Where it's like, it's always fun whenever the bad guy is able to teach your good guy how to do their job better.
Yeah.
And then vice versa.
Or just simply when they articulate a perspective or a thesis or hypothesis that you can understand. And a part of you will be like, okay, I could see where he's coming from. I mean, I think that's why the Thanos thing was so edgy to people. Like, oh my God, I think I do I agree with him?
Is Thanos
am I okay?
right, bro?
Am I okay with genocide? Like, I don't know.
Genocide might be kind of
As long as it's random. As long as it's random.
I mean, I think why it appealed to people is it tickled them in that way that it made them think. I guess I don't really understand it, but I don't know what else it would have been because people were as much are saying like Thanos kind of hit a point. So what else is that saying?
Well, I think that's like just hits like a more like societal thing where we've become a lot more nihilistic on a whole with like the proliferation. Ooh, I love that word.
That is
Proliferation.
SAT word of the week.
The proliferation of like technology and stuff like that.
Patrick's in rewind mode.
I'm still trying to fight forward.
But yeah, Hans Zimmer soundtrack's awesome. I mean,
Dude, okay, so the main theme is so perfect because it incorporates, for me, you've got the, or wait, no, that's Bane. I'm already doing Bane.
No, too early.
it's the brass
that's
like.
No, it's
like,
what is it? Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That open.
You just see it in this footage.
So you've got the fluttering of the bat wings, the punch, punch, kick, crotch shot, punch, kick, face punch, snap, neck snap, punch, punch, punch. And then you've got the heroic part, which is the Bruce Wayne part. The like, dun, 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 dun.
Hans Zimmer, everyone!
And then back to the bat. Dude, it is the most perfect soundtrack because it personifies Batman.
Well, and that's one of the things that is so good about these movies and Christopher Nolan movies in general. Yes, go ahead. Cheers us, you loser.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. But the visual language and the audio language is so complete because right from the very beginning you got that pump, that tick, that the way you're saying and it's building to something, and you go ahead and you introduce the color orange that you have that you bring back over and over again. That's you're introducing your visual language of the fear, and you have the thing, it's covering the bat symbol. It's not quite there all the way yet, but it's right there through the bats if we can just peer through. And then there's moments outside of the bar right before he sees Carmine Falcone as we begin to hear his hero, but it's when Rachel is talking to him, and we begin to hear that audio language of when he's a hero. And it's just so cool the way that they go ahead and establish those things early so that then when you get to the payoff of it, it fucking your dick is so hard, pussy's so wet, you feel so great.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that. But it's something that a lot of people wouldn't notice consciously.
Yeah.
That is building.
Well, that's audio language, and that's
Yeah.
the introduction of things. There's a YouTube channel that breaks music and soundtracks down. I can't remember the name of it. It's a really good channel. He's like a classic, like a music educated, classically, scientifically trained in music, and so he breaks it down. It's really cool. I don't know if
is he the one who does the Star Wars?
he did the
ones?
Star Wars one.
Those are really cool.
So it's a really cool channel. I guess shout out. So
Shout out, what was the name of the channel?
yeah, I don't know. But look him up.
Shout out to that guy who
Shout out
does
to
the
that
music stuff.
Shout out to that one channel on YouTube who
He
does a
exists.
thing.
But I think we're at the 15-minute mark, so let's. I think we're at definitely a place where we can do the reviews. We can talk about
Riddle me this.
the Batman.
Riddle me that.
You wanna talk about the
what do you wanna
Batman?
do first?
We have to.
I want to.
talk about
All right,
that.
I want to say.
This is
the
the
one-
reviews to wrap up this film.
Yeah, I want to
But
say the
go ahead.
one negative thing that I have to
Okay.
say
Oh yes, please do.
is it's good in it where it's like this feels like a 5-part comic series because there's so much movie in this movie, but I also feel like there's a lot of movie in this movie. I don't know what you cut down to get it down, but it does. We get to that the last 30 minutes and we're getting to our apex and I'm a little bit worn out already.
Yeah, I would argue though that that's the case for all of these movies
I
in this trilogy.
Yeah.
I guess which you did not say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean I could agree with that.
Yeah, I'd see what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
And HBO Max doesn't work on Roku.
Bummer.
Yeah, for whatever reason.
It'll get there. You probably have
HBO
to
Max isn't on Roku.
probably have to get a new model probably to make it work.
Also,
One star for Batman Begins because HBO Max.
HBO doesn't work on Roku.
So
How
what-
bad is the Gotham PD department? Another thing is Jim Gordon a good cop or is he a bad cop?
Sure, they don't communicate too much. We see him with the kid being nice to the kid at the
Yeah.
beginning, and that's kind of our biggest tell. We see kind of elements of his family, which is like shorthand, like he's a family, so he's got to be a good guy.
But he also doesn't turn into the people. But it's like, is he a good cop? I don't know. That's
Yeah.
just like
That's true.
the world needs Batman, so they don't need a police department except to mess things up and to be a pawn in other schemes.
Yep.
So what do you rate the movie? Or are we talking just bad
Yeah.
things we didn't
Well,
like?
let's hear what the people we like to roast have to say.
Yeah, I've
let's-
got a selection. Because we go. This is a 2-star. Skip this movie. Just wanted the second and third one. Just watch the second and third one. Waste of time. The only reason I somewhat enjoyed this movie is because of the villain is Liam Hugecock.
Was that you that wrote that, Christian?
Dude,
All-
that sounds like I wrote that facetiously.
All hail,
Liam Hugecock?
all hail, the magical conch.
What the hell?
Are you serious?
Yes.
Is this an actual...
Here, I'll read it like Christian. Skip this movie. Just watch the second and third one. Waste of time. The only reason I somewhat enjoyed this movie is because of the villain is Liam Hugecock. All hail the magical conch.
That's fine. I don't need to say anything else about that. That just sounds like Christian wrote it.
Yeah, I can't believe I just read it. That's a real review. I don't know what to say. That's hilarious.
This is one of my favorite ones. It's a 4.5-star review. Brilliant backstory to The Dark Knight.
Hey, to the point.
You're not wrong.
No, yeah. Is this a 1-star?
1-star review.
Oh, boy.
Orphan is trained as a fighter by a mystical guru, then spends a couple of hours running and jumping about. Tiresome. It gets 1 point as Joffrey is in it.
That's I love that review because that's a pretty apt way to describe the movie.
And then here's another 1-star review. The bats were the best part.
Dude,
the people really can't they did a good job on these 1-star reviews.
These people are funny, not depressing.
Here's a 1/2-star review. This is not as how can anyone not see just how bad this film is? The whole thing is one big contrived mess that really stretches any and all logic beyond reason. Like any Nolan movie, this one doesn't care about story, just so long as you get to the cool-looking shot.
What?
Yeah.
Wow, Christopher Nolan is chuckling as he sips his whiskey right now. Oh, Chris, what do you think of that?
I think he knows something we don't. I don't know what it would be, but he just has that look, like he's cooking up something.
Dude, Christopher Nolan doesn't care about
That's David
story.
Lynch. That's David Lynch says that to me all the time.
Oh, was that David?
That's David Lynch. He says that to me all the time.
That son of a bitch. Are you guys friends?
We've kissed.
Okay.
Some good old boy kissing's never.
Just
never hurt anyone.
some good old friends kissing, whispering to each other, roasting each other in the dark.
In the dark.
Tummy sticks.
Just the lights off. I hate your films.
I really don't like your subtlety.
Any more?
There's one really, really long one.
Wow, dude, that's
it's a 1.5-star review, and this will be the we'll close it off. I haven't read this one.
Okay. Here we go.
It is impossible to take Batman Begins as seriously as it takes itself. Christian Bale's deep and scratchy Batman voice is laughable and removes any slight bit of tension from the scenes he uses it in. The fight sequences are unrealistic due to Batman's apparent weightlessness and an inability to move his neck in the mask. The backstory of his fear of bats is neither convincing as a reason he'd run around dressed as a bat, nor interesting, and the explanation for why his suit looks the way that it does doesn't make it any less silly. The mechanics of his Batmobile are good for some laughs too, as the seat slowly goes up and down for no obvious reason in the middle of chase sequences. The supporting cast don't come out looking much better than Bale. Michael Caine as Alfred gives a dull performance. Gary Oldman plays it too goofy to be believable as an experienced cop. And Morgan Freeman is unnecessary. Playing another Alfred, but with a warehouse of convenient army equipment. The overall plot is nonsensical. Some crazy plan to create hysteria with gas from a microwave or something. The CGI used to show the effects of the gas is more bizarre than scary, and the executor of the plan, Cillian Murphy's Scarecrow, is one of the least threatening villains on film. Like many movies of the time, Batman Begins feels the need to tack on an unnecessary twist towards the end, creating confusion around the motivations of Liam Neeson's character, who trains Batman to be a warrior. The mountain training scenes are an interesting addition, and a welcome departure from the cityscapes common in superhero movies, but they never amount to much thanks to an uninspired script and flat characters. In the end, the film's biggest flaw is that it believes it's presenting thoughtful and important ideas about society and morals when really it's just using the pretension as a thin layer of disguise for a less than average superhero action movie.
So
dude,
my first
I have
thing
to
is,
give a round of applause for the delivery.
Yeah.
The delivery and the performance of that review was on par.
Christopher's raising his hand. Did you have something to say, Chris? That was me. I wrote that review. You have to sow dissension amongst the the gaggle in order to think.
I won't share what I think then.
I was gonna say,
No, please do.
There were some fair assessments in that review, but ultimately that review was just reading into it way too much.
Well, it's like he moves around unrealistically and blah blah blah. The car isn't realistic.
Batman.
It's a car.
Dude.
It's a comic book movie. I mean, sure. It is pretentious in the way it's made at times. So maybe there's a weird clash for you. It works for me. But
my favorite part is Morgan Freeman is unnecessary.
There's a comma there. I milked it.
It does kind of double up. I get where they're coming. Like they're coming from some granted things, but ultimately it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
The way it bothers them.
It's. I mean, I would say, they put a lot of thought into the review, so it's like, yeah, okay, great. But
it wasn't just something they pooped out. But yeah, so I guess what we give it, I give it a 4 out of 5. For me, it's again in that similar area where it's definitely not a perfect film, but for me, it's a very good film, and it doesn't have pacing issues, but it does. It is long, I guess, and so that
it doesn't have pacing issues, but it does.
I don't know how to word
But
it.
it's long.
I'm not bored. I don't feel like moments drag.
It feels like 4 40-minute movies.
Well, yeah.
Movies, but it feels like 4 40-minute.
But they're super engaged. It just I don't know how to word it. What you brought up is something I had thought of these movies in the past, and is one of the reasons why I'd never bothered revisiting Dark Knight Rises since the first time I watched it, because I just remember it feeling like different movies, different chunks. I couldn't remember how they fit together. I was like, I don't care.
I think that one we can get it, but I think that one jumps around a lot more with time and it makes it a little bit more confusing.
4 Batstars, Batwings, or whatever the little throwables are.
Batarangs
out of 5.
We'll get to Dark Knight Rises soon enough. Just wait.
I'm gonna give this movie 9 Batwing flaps out of 10.
Wow.
I absolutely, especially upon rewatching this for the first time in so long, I was just in love again. I think going back
it took
to
you
what
back
we
to
were
your wedding
talking
night.
about- Exactly.
You never
dude.
felt
It
the
was
same since then.
Better than my wedding night, dude. But going back to when I first saw this when I was younger, and I didn't have the appreciation. Yeah. On my wedding night. This is what I did on my wedding night. Yeah, so do you want to consummate this marriage, or do you want to watch some Batman, dude?
Oh, absolutely. I want to watch Batman.
But when I first watched this as a kid, I was more like, let me see more Batman. But watching it now, it's like, this is a piece of Christopher Nolan's finest cinema.
Especially now that it's completed.
Yeah.
I do want to chime in when he's flying over the Narrows, when everyone's tripping balls, and he's looks like a crazy bat with
and
a
they've all
fire
got
mouth.
the toxin in them.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I actually had a thought. I was like, he kind of owes Ra's al Ghul and Jonathan Crane a thank you. It's like otherwise people wouldn't have that image of him. Like he's able to infuriate. Make them make afraid.
What is there? Is there a verb for
fear?
To make fear? To
instill fear.
To instill, he's able to instill fear in so many people on that one night. Because he's doing the thing, and they have that image in their brain forever, even if they get the antidote. I'm gonna do 5 blue flowers out of 5.
Oh,
just maybe part nostalgia, maybe. I think I like Batman, and I like Christopher Nolan. I like Christian Bale.
He just gave you a nice head nod while he's taking a long drag from his.
It's a long drag. Maybe watch out on that, bud. So what are you watching, guys? This is where we can.
I watched. God, what did I just watch? I watched something. Oh, I watched The Outpost, which is a war film, and made this year. And the poster, I saw it on browsing, whatever, and the poster just looks like some cheesy straight to DVD.
Mm-hmm.
But it was actually
in that movie.
What?
Who's in that movie?
Orlando Bloom, Clint Eastwood's son,
Scott Eastwood, yeah.
and then
he's a stud.
The Laxbro crazy from Get Out. That guy, he's in a few things.
Oh yeah.
And
that guy, I know.
He actually crushed it. It's honestly one of the best performances I've seen in a film this year. And the movie's randomly really good.
Mm-hmm.
It has it's about there's this base in Afghanistan that's indefensible. It's like in a valley and they're surrounded, And
Great place to put a base.
yeah, exactly. That's kind of like the takeaway at the end of the film is like, yeah, the U.S. military and government realized they shouldn't make indefensible bases anymore. It's like, cool.
What's it called?
Got it, guys.
Outpost?
The Outpost. Yeah. And I mean, it's one of the only battles since World War II where 2 living guys won the Medal of Honor, or received the Medal of Honor rather. It's insane. It's super. It's kind of like one of those movies where you can put yourself in those shoes and realize that's hell. I don't ever want to be put in that. And I'm, kudos to those guys, that are able to, that have gone through that.
Where do we watch this sweet film?
I don't know. I just watched it online, Amazon Prime rental. But great movie. Definitely surprised me. I was just like, just gonna put some popcorn.
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood's son in the background. Orlando Bloom crushes it. He has a really thick accent, but he it's so believable as this like grizzled captain in the U.S. Army. So good. I don't know. It's weird.
He has also aged very well.
Yeah.
Couple hot boys.
I talked about that movie more than I needed to, but I recommend it.
Well, I know for one, I watched the trailer for the Batman.
Riddle me this, riddle me that. Who's afraid of the big bad?
I just love.
Can you imagine if they brought back Jim Carrey as the Riddler?
What if he was his dad?
Oh yeah.
Like again, it's the same thing, but he's like, Dad, no one does that anymore. You're embarrassing me.
Yeah.
I love the tone.
I'm so
it just
excited.
Seeped tone and atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's like
brought me. Why do I like this one? Is Gotham was a character, and we're gonna see Gotham as a character again.
Yeah.
It's
that
like
makes me so happy.
a film noir detective vibe.
Yeah.
Like I was really worried. Not worried, but like. Batman has been done so many times. So defining your own, as a writer, as a director, as an actor, defining your own Batman, your own story for Batman is so hard to do. And I have really high hopes for this. I think it's going to be fucking awesome.
I'm keeping my hopes really low.
Yeah.
I'm
Probably fair with DC movies, honestly.
I'm keeping my hopes really low just because, I feel like they wasted Ben Affleck. I feel like they wasted Henry Cavill.
I agree.
I don't know what.
It's bullshit. They were just trying to play catch up with Marvel to have a cinematic universe, and they wasted. It was a lot of wasted effort and misguided effort.
I was texting you guys last night. I watched Suicide Squad in the background with my wife last night, and I was so upset at how much they wasted an otherwise great cast. It was a great, all the
Will Smith
actors
is good in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no. The cast is great, except for I don't know what the fuck Jared Leto was thinking, because he's such a good actor, but his performance was so terrible.
wonder-
Bullshit with him sending used condoms and method. It's just like dude,
That's not it. But here's the
stop
thing.
being such a tool.
It was a waste of a good cast, just like going back to Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
They weren't used to their maximum potential.
Well, and now they've got everything all confused. It's very confusing to me as a reasonably casual viewer of the stuff, where it's like, wait, so they're bringing Michael Keaton back and Ben Affleck, and they're having a multiverse.
Oh, for the Flash
for the
movie.
Flashpoint movie, and then they're also going to have the Batman with Robert Pattinson, and it's just like, if it's, I guess to me, I'm okay with seeing doing another Batman trilogy. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. That sounds fun. But also, part of me is like, if it's not going to connect up to a Marvel, I don't know if it's
I don't think
it's
it needs
necessary.
to.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's necessary. We already did a really good trilogy here, with the Nolan trilogy.
Well, I think that's something that the DC fans would have a quick counter. Is the beauty of Batman is his story can be retold many, many, many times.
Yeah,
and it has been, and it always will be. And so why not in film?
But
Yeah.
which Earth, dude? Earth 199 or Earth 274?
I mean,
Which Earth, dude? You
I like
gotta
it.
specify
I like
your
it
Earth,
as
dude.
long as it's spaced out enough, And
Yeah.
I, in terms of the scheme of things, we had 2009 or 12 for The Dark Knight Rises. So it's a good 8 years.
yeah,
Or nine
2012.
Yeah, so
Still though,
and it's almost a decade in between. Because the Affleck ones, I like Affleck, but I wouldn't count those as Batman movies because they weren't. They were
they're just
hack jobs of trying to catch up to Marvel.
So I've got a theory about the new Batman movie. So I came up with an idea, a crazy, ridiculous idea for a Batman movie, a horror Batman movie.
Okay.
A couple years ago. Stick with me, guys.
I'm here.
It's gonna be rated R, which I know Warner Brothers would never condone, But basically, the twist in the Batman movie, the Batman is like this, like sadistic vigilante. He's still like trying to do justice, but he's going crazy because he's pursuing who he thinks is the Joker. But the twist at the end is that he has so many split personalities that he is the Joker, and he doesn't realize that till the end. So he has to come to, and it also goes with the whole like, what is the Joker? He doesn't have a backstory. He doesn't have an identity. It's
Like
because
who's Sammy
he was
Jenkins?
the Joker. Yeah, exactly.
Guy Pearce should play Batman.
Yeah. So, but in the end of this trailer, I couldn't help but think he's the Joker. Also, that because he's got the darkness around his eyes, which I know is from when he spray paints in his eyes when he's putting his
I like
mask
that.
on.
That was
I like
cool.
that.
It was such a menacing, creepy look, and it reflected those Joker groupie boys in the trailer who were like, "Hey, who are you? What's the difference between you and me?" And he beats up that guy and he says, "I'm not wearing hockey pads."
Well,
That was the best part.
I need to.
That's
I read Hush, but I need to reread it. But two of our friends are the big DC people said it looks like it rips off of the of
It
Hush.
does.
Yeah, you were talking
It
about
does.
that.
I watched the Hush short film series.
Oh, did they make it?
I think they did.
Okay.
I might be making that up, but I'm pretty sure I read it. I know I read that one and The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
those are the only comic books that I've read.
And Hush is a Riddler.
The Killing Joke.
That's
The
a
Killing
Riddler-based.
Yeah, it's
Batman
where
story.
Riddler's he's paying people to fuck around with Batman.
But Hush is his own separate thing, where he right.
I read it not a long time ago, but
Isn't
long
Hush-
enough to not
Hush
remember
is his
well.
own separate.
Or is there's like Red? Or I don't remember.
That's a
I'm
Red
not a
Hood, bro.
God, I don't remember. But
Am I the DC boy here? Do I know the DC stuff?
you might be.
You might be the
Oh my
most
God.
educated DC
That is
boy.
that is not a good representation of DC
I
fans.
think
then.
I've read Hush and Red Hood, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. But let's wrap this
Hush
up.
is like
We're going
Hush.
very long.
Well, Hush is anyway. Sorry.
Well,
I'm excited, because I like Batman. I think that I do feel bad that it does just feel like a money, but that's their job. I don't know. I have conflicting feelings on it because it's like this trilogy was really good, and I feel like I feel like a decade is not long enough. I don't think that that's long enough to
That's
let
a
it
fair point.
to let it sit because
well, I think
come up with a new
a big thing, I think, is DC trying to find their tone or get a good footing at being lucrative and prolific with their films the way Marvel has. So I think it's given us an accelerated reinventing.
Yeah, because
I mean, look at Suicide Squad. It literally just got reinvented kind of adjacently.
Yeah, that I'm interested to see how that is because like how much because I recently in talking about what we watched is I recently watched Birds of Prey or the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, and man, that movie is fun, but also it's a mess, but also it's like it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's got good fighting. Actually, this isn't my original thought, but I agree with it because it's true. But DC movies, all of them have better action scenes than Marvel films.
Yeah,
I like the choreography, like each set piece in Birds of Prey. It's so mixed up and so fun,
yeah.
and just well done.
But also, like the stuff doesn't like the same. It doesn't cohesively fit. Like they have such a weird thing where it's like the tone is good, and I like the tone that they're going for, but it doesn't feel like it feels like it's something that the director is being forced into. Like the same thing with like Suicide Squad where they're like, hey, this is the cool tone. Let's go for this tone.
Yeah.
Let's feel it like this rather than James Gunn like naturally doing Guardians of the Galaxy and like doing his tone within the formula of the Marvel. They're like, hey, do a new tone and be cool.
And put Eminem in there, dude.
Yeah.
Maybe throw
God, the soundtrack.
toss in some
21
Nation
Pilots.
Army, dude. Yeah. I talk to you. Take my hand through the flame. That song is fire. That was the best thing to come out of that movie. Sucker for Pain. That song.
'Cause I'm a sucker for pain.
That song knocks. But
They're rolling his eyes being like, we're not going to get this cleared.
No, it's fine. But I guess any quick last thoughts before we say goodbye to Batman Begins.
I love it.
all I'm going to say is I want you all to stick around because we've got quite an adventure for you on the next episode. Here's my card. Take it. Wait, are we doing that next time? What are we doing next?
Yeah, we're doing that next.
Oh yeah. is that Jared Leto?
No, I was doing, like as he walks through, he's like,
Oh yeah, when he's like, ha ha ha. I thought my jokes were bad.
hit us up on Twitter at Stinky Podcast and tell us what you want us to watch next, and then we'll ignore it because we're gonna watch Dark Knight next.
Yeah, so it is going to be Dark Knight next.
It is going to be the Dark Knight next. Tell us your favorite movie. Tell us why we don't know anything about DC. Tell us why I'm stupid.
Me too.
Tell me why I'm stupid.
Tell John he's stupid.
Do it.
Yeah, come on, do it.
Tell us all why
Love
we're stupid.
you. Take us out, Christian. Do a good. Hey,
It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me. Both of you look the other way. Quick. Wait, just look.
Bruce.
Where'd he go?
Where'd he go?